There are a lot more options for classic modes journeys, so let's look at it together thanks to you guys. Block content. What's happening, my block buddies, and welcome to a brand new episode of Blocked Content. My name is Kellum. This is going to be your content for today. So guys, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate actually has this very cool new revamped classic mode. Yesterday we took a look at all the ones revealed thus far. Every single character has a new journey. So it's kind of like a story mode in a sense, but they're just straight up battles. But sometimes the battles have a couple of new nuances to them. And thanks to all of you guys yesterday from the comment question, I couldn't just choose one. I had so many cool ideas laid out that I just had to discuss them. So if you're ready, we're going to dive into our very first one, which is from Potato Ash saying, I can see Peach's classic mode being Battle Royal, so not Royale, but Royal, featuring only characters of royal heritage, such as Zelda, Marth, Corrin, K. Rool, etc. Well, I think this is a really cool idea. It's not only just a clever play on words, but it would make sense, and of course, the final boss of this one makes sense to be King Bowser, right? So finally getting that revenge that she deserves. So I think it's a really fun play on words, and it actually matches up with the character pretty well. I wonder if we're going to be fighting Daisy, because, you know, technically she's a princess, she's the princess of Sarasaland, but that would be like a rivalry thing. So I don't know if it will be like taking revenge on classic villains or doing this whole battle royal thing, but I think that this is a really clever idea, and it might just be something that Sakurai is planning for this one. So if we look at the next comment, it comes by way of Gabriel S. de Carvalho saying, it would actually be cool if Robs was characters originating from the NES. Now, this is an idea that I can get really behind, because I think that what's missing right now in the classic mode is kind of like this all-star mode kind of feeling, that all these characters originate from all these eras, right? We have Pikmin and characters like Lucario that are really, later down the line, but Rob was of course introduced as a prop for the NES. Now I think characters like Ice Climbers have now returned as well. We know that Link and Mario of course originated there. I don't think that, Mr. Game & Watch would be included in this one, but how cool would it be if the final boss of this one would be Mega Man, because it would be like two robots facing off, and they both originated from the NES, so I definitely see something like this one happening. Maybe there's a chance that we can even see Snake, because I think the original Metal Gear was released on the NES as well, and it would be really cool because, fighting Snake, it would be like a Metal Gear, like a robot fighting Snake. So I think that's a very fun idea, and definitely very smart pick on your part. So the next one comes from The Joe, and this one I laughed out loud when I read this because it's actually very funny and something that I definitely see the game doing, which is prediction. Wii Fit's trainer story ends with her fighting K. Rool, King Dedede, and Wario because they're all fatties. I think this is really fun because, getting characters into shape must be Wii Fit trainer's goal, because that's what the game is about, getting people into shape. And, starting off with characters that are quite fit, like Zero Suit Samus, maybe even characters like, Peach, Daisy, Zelda, Link, but ending on characters that are a little bit fuller, like King K. Rool and King Dedede, would be a lot of fun to be like, oh, this is a harder challenger, and maybe they can even do HP battles to be like calories, right? You lose calories by fighting, so I think that'll be a lot of fun, and the stages could all be kind of inspired by the Wii Fit Studio one. Maybe we even get the training mode stage, which looks almost like, a fitness room of sorts, so that could really fit this very cool classic mode with Wii Fit Trainer. So it's a really cool idea on the Joe's part, and I hope they'll do something similar to this, and of course being able to pick which Wii Fit trainer you want, the male version or the female version, makes a lot of sense to me. So this one is definitely a keeper. I want to see this. I want to play this. And the next one comes from Turquoise Arcanine, which is a very cool handle, saying, my idea is name Meta Knight's Revenge, which is a reference to his theme song. I actually really like this one. It has also a remix from Brawl, that's the trumpet one, and that sounds awesome. I think it's in this one too. And the description reads, Meta Knight fights against Kirby, DDD, Dark Meta Knight, which is a palette swap, Galactonite, which is also a palette swap, and some villain characters like Dark Samus. I think this makes a lot of sense. It makes Meta Knight finally, the hero, or at least the protagonist of this story. And I can't really think of any other way. Fighting winged characters would be more Pit or Bayonetta's kind of goal. So Meta Knight fighting against all the heroes from the Kirby franchise, and then also a version of himself being Dark Meta Knight or Galactonite, that makes complete sense to me. So this should be like a dark kind of classic mode. Something akin to what they have in mind for Ganondorf, which is like called the end times or the end of the world as we know it. And I think Meta Knight's one should be equally as dark and scary. So I really like the idea. Now, we have another comment coming from Horby Florbin, I like that name, which is saying, what if Dark Samus's classic mode focused on only fighting other dark versions of characters, like Dark Pit, Dark Meta Knight, Wario maybe? I can really see something like this happening. I think they're treating Echo Fighters in this game purely as Echo Fighters and not necessarily as fighters. So we can see that Ken's classic mode is actually focused around, dash fighters, what they call them in Japanese, which is Echo Fighters. And for Richter, it's the same because he's an Echo Fighter of Simon. So I think that there is a strong possibility that Dark Samus will just be facing off against other Echo Fighters, but there are a lot of dark versions of characters in this game. I mean, if you think about Young Link, or even Toon Link and the normal Link, they all have a Dark Link costume. Now, we know a lot of characters have black versions of the costume as well, because that's always the cool one to choose. Back when I was younger, I used to play Dr. Mario in Smash Brothers, and I always had the black coat because it really felt like the Matrix kind of character, right? He had this big coat flopping around, and it was almost like I was playing as Neo, but it was just, Mario's big nose. And I think that something similar to this could happen because there are a lot of, dark costumes. I think we have a very dark Ridley costume as well. So even a black version of King K. Rool. So definitely could see fighting other dark versions. So maybe it could be something like Metroid Prime Echoes, right? They could even call it that because that's where the character debuted. I think it was in the end of the first one, and then it had a starring role in the second one. So the next one comes from Lime Gamer saying, had an idea for Ice Climber's classic mode, and it's called The Greatest Climb. Now, I thought this was really fun because it's something other than the characters you fight against. It's the stages. He's saying the first battle is on a stage taking place on ground level, like Onett. And the very last one is on a stage in something like space, so Lilith Cruise. The other battles are always somewhere in between. So it's this idea that ice climbers are climbing a mountain, and every single stage that you play takes place on a different altitude. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think that there are ways to make you feel that height difference. Rainbow Cruise is one of the stages that is like floating above the world in a weird literal sense, but there's also stages that are of course in space. All the Star Fox levels are in space, and there are like underground stages. I think the underground stage in Mushroomy Kingdom is back, so maybe we could begin in a place like that one, or even the Castle Siege underground. So you really begin at the lowest point ever and you slowly travel your way up. So that would be a really fun idea to have a classic mode that doesn't, it doesn't really matter which fighters there are, but it matters which stages there are. So Lime Gamer, I thought it was really, really original and a lot of fun to read. So Perfect Chaos 115 is saying, and this I like this because I didn't think about Mii Fighter at all. He's saying the comment question answer, Mii Fighter Classic Mode, should be called I'm a Fighter Too. And it has you, so your own Mii, face each company's all-star character. So a lot of these third parties, right? For Sega, it will be Sonic. For Capcom, it would be Mega Man, Ryu. So probably for Sega, Bayonetta as well, and so on. Leading up to a fight against Nintendo, the big one, right? I mean, Smash Bros. Is a Nintendo property, which would be fighting against Mario, and each fight would be on that character's home stage, using, stage morph for like Capcom if different characters are being fought. I think this is a really fun one. I think that if I think about Mii Fighter, what would be cool is that every single stage would be a Mii Fighter in a costume from a character. So you'd fight against a Mii Fighter looking like Mario, or looking like King K. Rool if they still have the costume. So it'd be like fake fighters or something like that. That's an alternative idea to yours, but I really like this one as well. And the next one comes from Sarasaland Subservient, which has a Daisy profile picture and is awesome. I love this idea. I wonder if Dr. Mario fights lots of yellow, blue, and red versions of characters. I like this because in Dr. Mario's original game, it's like this puzzle game, almost a bit like Tetris, and you had to eradicate these, viruses that look kind of like these yellow, blue, and red sort of monsters. And you fight all these different characters. I could see, the Koopa Kids being versions of that. I could see versions of Mega Man being kind of like a virus. Maybe Ivysaur, characters that kind of look like they are tiny little monsters. I would count Ridley out because he's very large, but how cool would it be to fight like 3 tiny Ridleys that are color variants of like, different, because he looks like a virus, right, if you make him small enough. So I thought it was very fun and like a very simple idea, but it does really make sense for Dr. Mario. Now the next one comes from Junpai19 Eroy saying, Isabelle facing off against 5 different villagers is kind of satisfying. And this is happening in the game. It's a lot of fun. So it's like this payback kind of thing. And I even think that the villagers are all walking very slowly, almost like zombies, right? So it feels like it's like a zombie Animal Crossing town infestation, which is very scary actually. So I like the idea, but of course it is actually happening in the game. Random Wooden Doll DX, and we know this is not a random wooden doll, this is Gino, man. I really like this one, if only for the music, is saying Sonic. So Sonic's one would be called Escaping from the City. He mainly fights speed characters, and the stages are all city-based. I like this. There are a lot of city stages. The Wrecking Crew one, now we have the new Inkling stages from Splatoon. There's new Dunk City Hall from Mario Odyssey. So a lot of new city stages too, and fighting speed characters, so characters like Greninja, characters like Captain Falcon, and even, other, characters like himself. So color variations on Sonic would be awesome. So maybe it would be Escaping from the City. Maybe it would be called a test of speed or something, or maybe speed versus power. So he would be fighting all, strong and slow characters. That could be an equal challenge, right? What if you're fast, but not necessarily very strong? So there are a couple of ideas that could really work for Sonic. I don't hope that they're going with something like, Sega versus Nintendo or something. I really hope that it's going to be focused on Sonic as a character, which your idea perfectly does. So I like this. Now, some big ones from Tiffany Echternack saying, my ideas, Mario's one is called King of Video Games, in which he takes on characters that could challenge Mario in terms of popularity, such as Link, Pikachu, Sonic, Pac-Man, and Luigi. Foxes would be called Final Destination and take place on all the Melee top tiers on viable stages for competitive, with items off, complete with a final battle against each other or another Fox or Falco on Final Destination. And Peaches is called a Royal Pain, I like the pun too, take on characters that are royalty such as Marth, Zelda, Daisy, K. Rool, and Dedede with Bowser as the final boss. Well, this one is said before, so it definitely is going to happen. Ice Climbers is called Brothers in Arms. Take on characters like Olimar or Rosalina who treat their friends as weapons with eyes, or characters with significant close relationships such as the Mario Brothers, and show them what friends really do, kick butt together. I like that, so it's like a perfect partners kind of thing. Marth is called Heroes of the Emblem. Put some good use to all those Fire Emblem characters and have Marth face all of them, facing Lucina at the end, of course, the heritage thing, right? Marth better have this for his classic, if not Robin, Chrom, or Lucina. Well, of course, there are a lot of Fire Emblem characters, so this could definitely happen. And finally, King Dedede's one is called Right Back At Ya, which is a reference to the TV show from Kirby. Take on monster-like characters, such as a reference to the anime, with Kirby as the final boss. Let's clobber that there Kirby. Well, I like this. A lot of ideas, a lot of fun. Smash Mario Pro 2000 says, comment, question, answer, the original classic, which is owned by Mario. This classic would be the lineup of classic mode that was in Smash 64, starting with Link, then the Yoshi team, Mario Brothers, Giant DK, etc. It'd be a huge fan service as well as a great homage to classic's origins. I really love this idea, only if it were for the idea to actually face down the Polygon team again. So I always had this idea where you fight the Mii fighters, but there's a Polygon team Mii fighter costume. I really like that idea. And of course, having a fight against Metal Mario again after all these years, I mean, it's been so long, I think that'd be really fun and a great nod to the original classic mode. So really hope this happens. And another one comes from Luke W saying, just Ryu has a nice one. If you didn't know, Ryu's classic mode takes place in stamina battle on Omega stages, and you start off with a Battle of Ken like traditional Street Fighter, which is so cool. I mean, Street Fighter, of course, doesn't have, a lot of platforming or any platforms at all, so they're flat stages, and you just fight one-on-one against another character. No 4-player battles or anything, so it's really like a fighting game should be. And it fits Ryu perfectly, and they're stamina battles, so it's almost like characters have a health bar. So it doesn't really matter how far you launch them, it's just, getting that HP down to 0. So this is a perfect idea. Now, Law V says Snake has to fight characters in stamina mode with 1 HP, but he cannot go into their line of sight. A kind of stealth mission, most likely on larger stages, so he can either use his projectiles or try to sneak around and hit from behind. Also, maybe using his taunt will let him not be seen. I really love this, just for the fact that Snake is, of course, a sneaking mission kind of character, and characters with 1 HP are awesome. Snake even has that grab move where he grabs characters from behind and you can choke them, which is awesome. It's exactly like in the game, so I could see this happening and looking very much like Metal Gear Solid. And the final one comes from Jalen McMahon saying, wouldn't it be funny if Fox's Path was just fighting on Final Destination against Fox over and over again without any items? So I had to save this one for last because it's definitely Final Destination. So I want to thank everyone who sent in their awesome ideas. I want to discuss a lot more of these in the future, so put them down in the comments if you have any cool ideas for your version of a classic mode journey. Love to hear what you guys think of this, so comment down below. Maybe your comment will be featured in our next video. I won't be doing a comment question for this one because I basically did about 10 or more, so thank you so much for sending them in. Remember, of course, we have this awesome giveaway, the blocked content Super Smash Bros. Ultimate pin that you can win. It's a pre-order bonus for Europe, but we're giving it away to one of our blocked content buddies, so comment down below why you think you deserve that awesome pin, and maybe you can proudly wear it while you're playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in December. I'm very excited for this one. And also remember, we have a Patreon you can support by just $1 a month, and you'll get free content, all the love you deserve, and you'll of course be in the credits of every single video. And from $1 up, it only gets better. You can of course commission videos to be made and become a part of blocked content itself. So I'm very excited about this, and I'm very thankful for everyone who is a Patreon supporter for blocked content. So thank you guys so much. Also remember guys, if you aren't yet a member of the blocked content family yet, if you're not a subscriber, well, click that subscribe button because all the news and fun you care about will be delivered daily to you. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you around the corner where there's always more classic mode, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and blocked content. See ya.